What if I told you that the greatest evidence of what consciousness truly is and what you are as a divine soul being can be found in something that we've been taught by and large to believe that is impossible? Today we're talking about mediumship, and by the end of our time together, my hope and my core intention is that you'll understand why it is more than simply connecting to the profound, deep messages of those who love us and want to share stuff with us, but rather it's also about understanding the very nature of your eternal soul. I'm Claire Falcon, the host of this beautiful podcast. I'm a practicing psychic medium, and I've given hundreds of readings that have shown me something actually profound. Your consciousness, your soul's essence, is absolutely limitless, and its ability is one that can extend beyond a physical death. Really, this episode is inspired by the fact that when psychic mediums first begin this work, often it begins either with understanding that you are a psychic, reading the energy of the aura, answering questions, giving life advice, you name it. And for mediums, because all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are necessarily mediums. But when you begin to understand that you are a medium, then you begin to understand that your consciousness, your soul's essence, is absolutely limitless. And when you really, truly get to the mechanics of that and what it represents is that it changes everything that you know to be true about this world, and it changes the way you live because it is a real self-study in the nature of consciousness. Now, you'll hear me talk a lot about consciousness. I'm a big proponent of it, and I am a teacher of it, as well as intuition development. And so the reason why we're going to explore today is that in many ways, it is the ultimate evidence of consciousness. Really, how it is also as evidence of how your soul communication works. And it represents profound healing that can happen when a psychic medium can bridge these two worlds for you. What I really hope to illustrate today is that you'll understand the spiritual mechanics of mediumship, and why it might be exactly what you need in order to understand the limitness of your soul, but also to receive profound healing. Now, let's talk a little bit about what actually mediumship reveals about consciousness. Because most people think it's about talking really to dead people, quote unquote. We see it depicted in film. We'll see memes of it. We'll see people make fun of it, etc., etc. But when I want to go back to that core intention, and really what it is about is understanding your soul, the core essence of who you are, and the fact that you exist beyond physical limitations and physical death. When a medium connects with someone who has transitioned, who now resides in the other world, we are accessing consciousness that operates at a completely different dimension, a completely different time and space, yet has the ability to communicate with profound intelligence, sharing specific memories, personality traits, and messages that could really only come from that individual. You will probably know by now that different mediums across the globe teach in many different ways. In the UK, it's really strictly bound with evidence. It's really a kind of, you have to get certain real specific forms of evidence before you can move on to sharing the message of who has come and why they have come. In America, it's a little bit more loose than that. You can provide evidence, but it has almost a therapeutic connotation to it, where you'll go into delivering why they're there, the message of why they're there, and it has really a therapeutic undertone to it. I love both worlds, and as a practicing psychic medium, my intention is always to have evidence where you and I can both know that this is the person, they are there, that soul, that core essence is there, and then move on swiftly to the message, because I have found through many different readings that message also has evidence, but also profound healing in it. And by all of these mechanics that I'm sharing with you right now, we are really understanding how mediumship represents the core aspects of consciousness. So what does this mean in a day in, day out scenario? Or what does this mean when, what is it that can happen really in a mediumship setting? Really, My mediumship practice has taught me about the nature of consciousness. And after having my own reading as a human being, I really took a deep dive in understanding the science of consciousness after it. And what I understand is that your soul exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously. And really, a physical death is simply the dropping away when you release the mortal coil, when you release this physical vessel. Is that gets dropped away, but then you exist in a different form of consciousness in your soul's limitless ability to be you, the core essence of who you are from that point on. And one of the things that mediumship readings has taught me is that when I sit with clients and I bring in their loved ones, that work of who you are and your ability to transmit messages, never ceases in the other world, right? Some call it heaven, some call it the spirit world. It's more of a frequency and less of a location, but that your soul continues to evolve within that space. And, genuinely some of the best readings that I've given to clients are when the soul talks a little bit about what they are experiencing after physical death, what they've learned, how they see the world now, how they see their human life. So we're talking about like a deep ability to reflect on not only their human world and what they saw in that human world, but we're able to reflect on, well, what is the survival of the soul? And what do we go on to do? And how do we exist? And how do we communicate? And so one thing that I also really love is something that I just talked a little bit about is that that expanded awareness that comes when I am sitting with a client and we are linking and connecting with someone within that other world is that they have the ability to see really what they did well, what didn't go well, what they've come to make amends for, or support that they want to give for their loved one, you name it. Some of that real golden advice from that soul in that moment really makes us understand what it means to be a human being and what it makes us to understand what it means to be a soul. And so, it really goes down to you're experiencing a human life, but you are a soul. And I think some of the greatest mediumship readings have proven that time and time again. And so when we talk about the different aspects of what mediumship readings give you, it's also profound healing that happens for both parties. And what I mean by that is that when you understand that a soul can communicate through that vehicle, through that pathways of consciousness, if you will, that often comes through sharing bits about their life, of maybe even coming a little bit symbolic, all of that information that transpires for that medium in that moment is clairvoyant, claircognizant, clairaudient, you name it. That soul knows that it can communicate in that heightened state of awareness of the medium, and so uses that moment to really convey deep messages so that they can recognize them. The healing comes when that soul has the ability to give a message of why they've come. And so what happens is that someone receiving it maybe can have profound healing of, as an example, some of the more deeper readings of dying by suicide, when they explain why they did it, how they feel about it now. The person receiving that can be life-changing. It can be profound. I've seen maybe 60 years of what it would cost someone as a therapist to get through something really unpacked and given a new perspective on in 45 minutes. That is how deep this healing is. Other times it can be for instances where they are coming simply to, reconnect through the love that they both share, both the client and the soul communicating, of just to say, I love you, I'm still with you. I see that you're going to buy that house and I'm supporting you. It can become also in really simple, profound messages like that. What it shows us is that you're witnessing profound truth that love never dies and consciousness is eternal. And what it does to you is to understand of that specific healing in that moment, but it also shows you that you are limitless, that consciousness is eternal. And as I said, love never dies. And so what I really love to tell people when they're understanding about how mediumship readings can be profound is that you can come to a reading and maybe want to hear from someone from 25 years ago, from something that happened only 3 years ago. And the mechanics of what's happening really defies time and space, because I like to tell people, sometimes they'll ask me, Claire, where are they? Where are our loved ones? And really, the question is not where are they, but rather what is the frequency related to me of where they are now as a limitless soul being that no longer is forced to communicate through the physical apparatus of being a human being. And so what I like to tell people is well, where you're sitting right now, depending upon where you're listening to this, in your chair, in your car, if you put your hand out and extend it, that's where they are, but it's just a different time and space and dimension. And what you need or what you require in that moment is a very heightened state of awareness, shifting through different levels of consciousness as you raise your vibration and they lower theirs a little bit. Because remember, those in the world of spirit or in that other world are operating on a very, very high vibration. And so you are lifting up, they are reaching down, and the both of you are forming a bridge. And the medium is this little conduit between it. And she or he is balancing that kind of those states of awareness and that middle ground, right? Of being that like modern day Proserpina. And they are delivering the message so that beyond a doubt in your mind and through someone else, you can feel and hear and sense. And that is when really profound healing comes through. So mediumship readings are this like very value, high impact session where you learn about the nature of your soul. You learn about the nature of the soul itself. Where does it go? How does it see? What does it do? And you receive deep and profound healing. One of the things that I really also love to tell people in mediumship readings is some of the most profound areas of both evidence, but also of sharing love is that, I'll often get communicators from the world of spirit wanting to talk about really heartfelt memories that they shared with my client. So they have the ability to describe through me, through clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, you name it, all of the clairs. They have the ability to show me, at the breakfast table on a Sunday morning with grandma. Or one of the more profound ones that I experienced maybe about a year ago is a grandfather showing a very specific memory where he was outside with his grandson, who was my client, where they were watching parachuters and people parachuting out of airplanes. And it was a reenactment of a World War II series. So, really hyper-specific moments that meant so much to them. Because when we are in the world of spirit, when we shift off this mortal coil, which that process is profound and maybe the topic for another podcast, but when we have the ability to do that, and we have the ability to share those things, we're entering into states of awareness where sometimes spirit communicators, those in spirit, want to talk about just really beautiful times that they shared with that person that maybe, don't make headlines or aren't like, oh my gosh, and, knock you off your socks all the time, because sometimes they do. Sometimes it's those really beautiful everyday examples that allows you to know, this is my grandfather, this is my dad, this is my sister. But it also really shows you that the soul remembers those really simple memories as profound. And why? Because it talks a lot about why we're here as humans, to love one another, to love our family, to share time together, to deepen our relationships, and as we're doing it, to learn about our own soul. So when communicators want to talk about that, I really, really love that. And so these are some of the things that happen within a mediumship reading. This is why it's so healing. These are why they are like really jam-packed, valuable sources of the survival of consciousness. And this is what really any medium that you work with is really striving and really elevating their consciousness to achieve for you as the conduit. And so, it's an evidence about the beauty of consciousness. It's proof of the limitless of your soul. And it really shows in a very deep way that your life is meant very much for living. And let me try to explain that a little bit. It's really recognizing that when we die a physical death, that it is giving up our human life. But when we see and understand how souls communicate back to us, is that we are meant to have a profound time here as a human being. We are meant to learn. We are meant to evolve. We are meant to grow. And those, seemingly unimportant conversations with someone that you met maybe once, but it was like over a summer and you were traveling and they just really shared a perspective perspective about life that changed you. That those sometimes are when a soul is in that state, when they've died, those are the things that they talk about. And it really can show us how we are really meant to be living as humans, and what we are meant to really hold as important in our lives. And so these are why, when I began this work, I really only gave mediumship readings in the very beginning. And they were just a deep learning for me about the nature of consciousness, but also about the deep, deep aspect of healing within mediumship readings. And I could go on and give countless examples of that. But these are the really beautiful understandings of the mechanics of mediumship. And so what I want you to walk away with today is a deep understanding of that. And with, if there's anything that you can walk away with that is super profound, it's that love never dies, and it is what connects us. It is what builds the bridge between these two worlds. And when we're able to do it through a mediumship reading, we're able to have so many life lessons for us existing here as human beings, but we also understand the science of consciousness, which is also a reason why we came. So if you have resonated with this, thank you for staying and listening. I want to let you know that as a very special kind of campaign for this summer, that I am opening up my mediumship readings. I'm going to be dropping a little email to my community just to let them know how they can book it and when they can book it. I love opening up mediumship readings at this time of year. Death is the ultimate transition. And in times where we ourselves are going through a transition, where seasons are changing from, going into more of a focused part of the year where we're working and, structured and wanting to do out of, coming out of our summer fun. This is actually, believe it or not, one of my favorite times to do mediumship readings, that and Christmas, by the way. So this is a profound time for connection. So watch that space. You know how to find me. If this has spoken to you, look out for an email for the start of that. And I wish you so many blessings. I hope that this has helped you understand, and I look forward to connecting. Take care.